I tried every free drawing app I could find, from ones that are completely underrated to ones that had me questioning their existence. So the first drawing app we're going to be trying is Infinite Painter. During all of these, I'm going to be drawing my OC Riley, and so let's see how this works. And at first, everything was okay until this happened. Is there a liquify tool? Nope, doesn't seem to be a liquify tool. Okay, this is fine. But little did I know, it was more than just the liquify tool missing. Is there a lasso tool anywhere? Okay, guess I'll just have to draw it on the proper place that it should be. This is one thing I found out. You can zoom in by a lot. These brushes are like really pixely. They're not very clear. And after finishing off the liner, I ran into another problem. Okay, that's the liner done, even though it looks very dodgy. Time for the coloring. Yeah, the coloring is either gonna make or break this piece. Bruh. Yes, they limited the amount of layers I could use to 5. And you know how much I use layers, with my average layer count being at least 30 to 40 per hour. But the question is, will I still pull through after such a large setback? It's good that there are a different variety of colors, because if not, that would really lower the rating for this app. And because of the limitation of the amount of layers I could use, I was left to do all the shading on one layer. Yeah, I know, I've hit rock bottom. And it was really hard to do it because when I wanted to lower the opacity of something, I literally had to get the skin color and then just like layer it on top. I know it was a pain than just having a simple tool I could use. But no. And also, for the sake of my sanity, I just decided to make the eyes simpler. And the shading of the hair, oh my gosh, the hair, it was a pain. Since I couldn't find the fill tool, I literally just had to color it in by hand. Do you know how hard that is for a person who's literally just used to using the fill tool all the time? Yeah, it was really hard. And then by the end, I did some subtle shading to add some depth to this piece. And yeah, this is how Riley using Infinite Painter turned out. And so before we rate Infinite Painter, the criteria for each app is going to be their interface look, their ease of access, and their tool availability. For Infinite Painter, I think the ratings for this are 9.5, 6, and 5.4. The main problems with this app is the lack of the liquify tool, the lack of a free lasso tool, and the limited amount of layers, obviously. Yeah, Infinite Painter was okay, but this next one made me raise some questions. The next app we're going to be trying is Artflow. It looks pretty simple, to be honest. I just hope it's not too simple and there are actually enough tools for this. Since it's a very simple pose, it's going to be a bit more detailed. Let's see if they have the most important tool. Is there a liquify tool? No, there is not. No, it's fine. It's totally fine. At first, I thought it was just a simple first impression, like a Procreate type of thing. But no. This app looked like it barely had tools, and guess what? It barely had any tools. Another downside is that I couldn't undo with 2 fingers. I had to manually press the undo button after I made a mistake. And guess what? It said I had to watch an ad to use undo after a few times, and I'm just gonna give it to you straight. That was the last straw. I was not gonna tolerate this. So here's the final piece, and honestly, this is disgusting, bro. And for a first, it's not completely my fault. Yeah, overall, I think I'm gonna give this an 8, 5, and a 3. It had limited tools, no liquify, I can't undo with my hands, which is literally a basic necessity. I had limited undos. The lasso tool was behind the paywall, and it wasn't very easy to use. So yeah, this app is going in the F tier. Okay, on to the next one. Okay, so the last one was a disaster. Let's just hope that Sketchbook will do better. Okay, so far, I think this is more like a realistic drawing app. I may want to try and draw a realistic Riley. Let's see how that goes. At the start of the app, I was already experiencing some difficulties, but will this set the tone for the rest of the time? Okay, onto the drawing. I was having a bit of trouble with the proportions, but I got them eventually. And I decided to do it all in one layer so it's easier to blend since I'm trying to go for, you know, a realistic vibe. But don't worry, I checked and there doesn't seem to be a limitation to the amount of layers I could use. So that's an upside. At first, I tried to do some in-depth shading, which didn't work out. Maybe that's just a skill issue. So I resorted to just adding minimal shading because small details go a long way. And to be honest, I was actually really enjoying this app despite the lack of the liquify tool. But I think the huge variety of tools that weren't behind the paywall, Artflow, I'm talking to you, made up for this. And for the rest of the time, I was having an amazing time with this app. I'm not gonna lie, if the drawing turns out bad, that's my fault. So this is how realistic Riley turned out. She doesn't really look like Riley, but I think that's my fault. And I actually really enjoyed using Sketchbook. Okay, so I'm gonna rate this app an 8, 9, and a 9.2. This is literally the best app so far far, but will any other app be able to beat it? So the next drawing app we're going to be trying is Krita. Oh, okay. I think a few people use this drawing app. I just hope it doesn't disappoint. Oh my gosh. Okay, this is kind of complicated, but I'm just gonna say create. Oh wow, okay. Okay, how am I supposed to do this? This reminds me of Clip Studio Paint. Okay, yeah, at first glance, this looks very overwhelming, but at least that means there's a variety of tools, right? Okay, I was trying my best to make a good art piece, despite having zero idea where 80% of this app's tools were. So whether this drawing would turn out well was a mystery for me too. The shape of Riley's head was getting really wonky, but since the liquify tool was nowhere to be found, not that it wasn't there, it's just like really hard to find, I had to just make do. But whilst doing the line art, I started running into a few problems with my S Pen. For the coloring, there was another problem. When I tried to use the fill tool, this is what happened. And so I needed to color all the details in by hand. And so because of this, I had to minimize the amount of shading I did for my own well-being. And you know, for the hair, I already find it hard to draw hair in my normal drawing app, let alone one that looks like this. But like, honestly, I think you can make really detailed pieces when you truly know how this app works and where everything is, which I don't, so maybe I can't really make detailed pieces, you know? Okay, and so because using this app in general was like so tiring, I couldn't finish the hair, and so this is how it turned out. And to be honest, I've definitely done better work in my days. I guess it's the best I could do with an app that I've never used that looks as taunting as this. So yeah, I think I'm going to give this app a 7, a 6, and a 9.7. I think the interface, yeah, it looks good, but it looks also very taunting. It was really hard to kind of access some tools, since you probably had to know the app to know where specific tools are. And so yeah, on to the next one. The next app we're going to be trying is Picsart. Okay, I'm excited because I really like the colors of it. This looks very similar to Sketchbook, and I like how the colors started with blue because my favorite color is blue. So at first glance, it looked like a decent drawing app, but will it be a repeat of the Artflow situation? Let's find out. I decided to just draw Riley in front view because it was simpler, and I wanted to see whether I had the symmetrical tool at my disposal, which I did. Great. And I decided to do a kind of sketchy kind of style for this, but to be honest, I wasn't really sure about this, and I don't know if it works out in the end. So this style was definitely a bit out of my comfort zone, but I think the result ends up pretty decent. I guess this is how it feels when you just use the airbrush for your whole drawing. The benefits for this app were that it didn't have limited layers, and it was really easy to use, so I got the hang of it pretty quickly. I'm starting to doubt that most drawing apps even have a liquify tool. So after adding color and some lighting, this was the final result, and she kind of looks cross-eyed, but I guess it's okay. I actually really liked Picsart, but will our final app live up to expectations? So the last app we're going to be trying is SketchPro. Okay, so I was just trying to use the app and then this came up. So yeah, this is not actually a free drawing app, that's really false advertising. And so after testing all these apps, I've come to the conclusion that I'm just gonna stick with Ibis Paint. And so if you enjoyed, you may enjoy watching this video where I let my subscribers ask me anything. Go check it out and see you in the next one.